morning, guys. Thank you for coming to listen to our story. I'm Sophia, this is Andrew, and we're going to show you how we turned our difficulty and turned it into success.
2.4 million people every year are diagnosed with some kind of learning difference. Today, we want to talk about how we define a learning difference and how a learning difference can actually be a learning advantage.
Just imagine having to write an answer up on the board at school, but being terrified that you might spell something wrong or write something backwards. Imagine the fear that kids face every single day when they get called on to read in front of the whole class. They have all eyes staring directly at them and everyone's full attention. I think a lot of kids are intimidated to read out loud. Can you imagine the fear associated with the intimidation of reading in front of the whole class?
And couple this with the fear that you might read words backwards, or insert words that were close, or maybe not in the sentence at all. Well, this is the fear that kids with dyslexia experience at school. My experience of English class was completely consumed with fear that I might be called on to participate. So instead of listening to the lesson, I sat in fear. Dyslexia had been a label that Andrew and I wore as a disadvantage, our personal disadvantage. I think the scariest point in time was going into high school, freshman year, and realizing that I was still on an elementary school reading level. And at that point, I felt pretty hopeless. Coming from a large school for learning difference wasn't so easy.
Sophia and I both now attend a school called AIM Academy. It specializes in kids like us. AIM has helped us tremendously to bring us to great heights that we never thought were possible. I had come from being that quiet kid in the back of the class who never volunteered to read or was never able to complete their work, to excelling in reading and writing and actually taking honors courses, which is something I never saw myself doing. We also remain aware that kids are not as fortunate as we are and are not able to attend a specialized school like this. This awareness would soon be the basis of our new business, Opportunity Rise.
Andrew and I have always admired successful dyslexic people, such as Walt Disney, Steve Jobs, or even Damon John from our favorite show, Shark Tank. But we thought, how did they do it? How did they find success? How did they accomplish so much with a disability holding them back? Well, we knew if we wanted to see change, we needed to make it ourselves. When most see challenge in their way, they try to avoid it or try to push it off. But have you ever considered looking at your difference or flaw in another perspective?
I know that I approach words and writing differently than others. Maybe this is exactly why Walt Disney and other people with dyslexia were so successful. If I could learn to embrace my dyslexic perspective, maybe I can face problems and challenges in the same way.
While most face challenges in a normal, straight-ahead perspective, we have this unique, some would say backwards view. Maybe this perspective is our advantage. So the challenge for Andrew and I and others with dyslexia is learn to embrace our difference and use it to our competitive advantage. I used to feel hopeless, embarrassed, and humiliated. I just hated the fact that I knew I was never going to be able to read or write as well as the rest of the kids in my class. Now, instead of allowing my disability to hold me back, instead I embrace it. This is my advantage, my unique perspective. In the beginning of last year, Andrew and I were introduced to the Startup Corps program, an entrepreneur club that teaches teens how to start their own business. Through Startup, we learn what it takes to be an entrepreneur.
I remember the first day of startup like it was yesterday. They sat us all down in a circle and we all shared business ideas. I had no idea how to start my own business. I was only 13 at the time. They asked me basic questions like, what do I want to be when I grow up? Or what do I enjoy doing in my free time? Still nothing, no business ideas. But then they asked me one thing. What is something that I see that I think needs change? Well, here I am at a school that has helped me tremendously. And then it hit me. Opportunity Rise was born.
So both of us had a message we believed in strongly, a message we believed needed to be heard. But how can we go about spreading this message and turning our story into success?
How can we take our story and turn it into something bigger? How can we help other kids with learning differences receive the type of education that is necessary for them to have? How can we take our disadvantage and turn it into our competitive advantage? How can we teach other kids that having a learning difference doesn't mean you're any less skilled or any less smart? How can this message be heard?
What is a learning difference? Most people associate learning differences with being stupid or uneducated. As a kid growing up with dyslexia in a large school was hard. People just didn't seem to understand. Unfortunately, the proper education for kids like myself is not always easily accessible. How do these kids get an opportunity to learn and succeed? Fortunately, I was lucky enough to attend a school that specialized in helping kids with needs like mine. I didn't let my dyslexia stop me from succeeding. I found myself improving in school. My writing was getting stronger and my reading was improving. Due to my success, I decided to give back. I wanted other kids like myself to know that there is hope and there are opportunities everywhere to find success. So I started my own business, Opportunity Rise. Our unique brand raises awareness for kids with learning differences. I wanted to give another kid the opportunity I had to rise by giving 50% of the profit made from apparel sold and give it back to my school for scholarships. And someday I'll make a difference for another kid, just like myself. Pass on the opportunity. Opportunity Rise.
Thank you.
Thinking back, I realized that I could hardly read at a 5th grade reading level just a year ago. But with lots of practice, I'm seeing much improvement. And not only that, but I can officially consider myself a successful entrepreneur. Dyslexia made things more difficult for me, but I knew if I wanted to see change, I had to be the one to make it. This whole experience taught me that I had to work twice as hard as the rest of the kids in my class to even keep up. And I brought that same strong work ethic and mindset straight to my business. That's what I'm most passionate about.
Our business has had great success since starting in April of 2013. We have grandparents, teenagers, and even small children wearing our apparel. We've grossed thousands of dollars in sales and are recently thrilled to be able to present our first $1,000 check back to AIM Academy for scholarship funding last December. But like all entrepreneurs, there are many challenges we face throughout this process.
Having to overcome obstacles in my learning taught me how to overcome obstacles in my business. Now, when it came to dealing with money and inventory, let's just say dealing with numbers and calculations isn't where a dyslexic kid excels. Tools exist to help us with inventory and numbers. Excel is just one example. It turned our confusing stock level into numbers that are predictable and actually understandable. And cash flow is now no longer just a big word for us. It actually has meaning.
Yeah, like being able to pay for our last delivery. In 2010, Cameron Harold gave a TED Talk that inspires me to stand up here today. He talked about that we should not teach our kids to get boring jobs and that we should train our kids to be entrepreneurs at a young age. He said something that stood out to me. But kids, you can see these signs in them. The definition of an entrepreneur is someone who organizes, operates, and assumes the risk of a business venture. Our experience and passion for entrepreneurship is growing, and so are our ideas for the future. We have many ideas to expand Opportunity Rise to make it even better. Being exposed to other entrepreneurs has opened up so many doors for us, and has taught us how to pitch a business, negotiate with different companies, keeping track of numbers and inventory, and writing a business plan that we can follow to become successful. But most importantly, I learned how to work with a 50-50 business partner. It's not always so easy, especially when it's Sophia. Our business, who would have thought that a business would turn into a TED Talk? One door opens another.
Which opens the door to yet another. So throughout this whole journey, this whole struggling each and every day to come to school, to trying my hardest to keep up, I learned that I would actually be nowhere without it. Because dyslexia has made me unique, set me aside from everyone else. Everyone has something about themselves they don't like or just struggle with. I just happen to turn mine into more than just a flaw to push off. In fact, I turned it into something amazing. Because throughout this whole journey, I found my passion for entrepreneurship.
Both Sophia and I have grown so much throughout this whole entire process. If I learned one thing throughout this whole journey, it's that you can take just about anything and turn it into success. Who would have thought me, that quiet kid in the back of the classroom, would end up speaking here today at a TEDx? Our message to leave you with today is never be discouraged by the negative. Take a look at yourself and find why what others would call is your disadvantage is actually your competitive advantage. Find your passion and use it to your advantage to excel. Pass on the opportunity. Thank you.